what are the main similarities, but also differences between organized religions, for example, Abrahamic religions like Christianity, Islam, and Bhakti Yoga?
In one sense, in a certain sense, there is no difference, because the essence of every religion is reconnecting with God through love. So on that level, it's similar. Where you find differences is in context. Like Christianity, Jesus died for you. If you don't accept him, you go to hell. That's the story. Islam has a story, right? It's Muhammad. So you find they fight over stories and various beliefs. But when you see people praying to God and offering their devotion and service to God, it's all the same. And I can prove it. And I'll prove it by this. If you listen to the devotional songs of all traditions, they're all singing the same thing. Oh God, please help me, please save me, please make me better. You're my Lord. You give me everything. Thank you. They're all singing the same thing. They have different, stories and theologies and contexts, but when they're praying to God, it's the same. So to me, you really get the essence through the prayers of the different traditions. So my spiritual master used to say, well, the essence is love. And if your religion produces love for God, then it's good. And if it doesn't, it's not. Because what's the point of it? You ever heard that saying, we have enough religion to hate one another, but not enough to love one another?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have these rituals. That's fine, but what is it producing? That's the point. So if it's not producing love, what's the point? Because that's the point of spirituality, is to produce love. And like you're saying, if you love God, you will love everybody. It's just natural, because everyone is part of him. Everyone is his son and daughter. If you love your father, you love your sons and daughters. You see that in any great saint. They're so compassionate and so loving. It's just natural. So that's the if the world had more love, obviously it would be better. If we all had more love, obviously it would be better, and we'd be giving that love, and we'd be uplifting people, and people would come in our presence and they'd feel peaceful and happy, because we'd be exuding this love from within us, and people would feel it. Because I saw that with my spiritual master. You could feel it a mile away. Just by being in his presence, people would change dramatically. Sometimes immediately seeing him, they would change because of his love. And so if you have religion, people look at some religions and the pastors are just yelling and screaming at people. It doesn't look like love. You're going to hell, this and that, you sin. It's natural that people are looking for spirituality beyond religion if people are preaching this kind of thing, because people intuitively know God is love, and those who represent God should be loving. And when they're not, it's like, what's wrong here? It's almost like the pastor's got his own personal issues or something. Why is he screaming at everybody? Why is he angry? It's not.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Jesus, getting up on the mountain screaming, you're all going to hell? I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk more about Bhakti Yoga. Can you give us, in essence, who we are, where do we come from, and why we are here?
We are a little tiny spark of consciousness within the body. And the proof of that is, right now, you can observe your thoughts, right? Whatever you're thinking, just observe your thoughts right now, whatever it is. And because we can observe our thoughts, that means we must be different from the thought, because we're observing it, right? We can observe our bodies, sensations in our bodies. We can see our arms and legs. We're observers. Who's observing? It's this little spark of consciousness within the body. So that's one way we understand what it means to be soul. And I think maybe the easiest way is to understand what happens at death, when the body's there, but there's no consciousness. So someone will say he passed away. Someone else could say, well, he's right here in the coffin. Yeah, but something passed out of the body. If you've ever been around someone who dies, at that moment, something passes. Like switch got turned off.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
when we say he left, he left.
okay. He left. Exactly, he left. And that's true. He did leave. The soul left. So I was born in America. I'm a man. So on the bodily level, I think I'm an American man, or you're a Croatian woman, or we are what the body defines us as. But in spiritual circles, we say I am soul, and anything else you say other than soul is a false identity. I'm man, woman, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer. That's an identity related to your physical. And your physical only lasts for this life. So, but you as a soul, you existed before this life. You will exist after this life. So your identity now, what you think you are, is just one along the way. It's just one set of clothes you're wearing now. When you understand your spirit soul, it changes everything, because then you understand you've always existed. That's the meaning. You know how in Christianity they say life is eternal, but they don't think it's eternal before you're born?
It just started at one point, and then after that, it's eternal.
Yeah. So how did that become eternal? But eternal means always existing, never. So never did we not exist, never will we in the future not exist. We always, that changes the whole game. This is not your first life. You existed before. You're coming in with karma from a past life. You have a certain nature, certain good and bad will come upon you. So the important thing to understand, for people to understand, is if they acknowledge that they're spiritual beings transmigrating from body to body, that process will go on forever until you make this divine connection, reconnect. Yoga means to connect. So you make that reconnection, you'll stay on the physical plane, but you can get off the physical plane to the spiritual plane. And there is something that's hard to describe. I'll try to describe it. It's like what happens after. Well, either you will take another body, another material body, or you will take a spiritual body, because now you're liberated. You're no longer, when you no longer have attachments to this world, you will not take a body, because you only take a body because of your attachments. You study Buddhism, that's clear in Buddhism, they talk about that. So I'm attached to things of this world, I'm attached to this body, I don't want to give it up. Okay, you can come back and take another body. It's just how it works. But when you become spiritually elevated, connected to God and detached from this world, then you go to a spiritual world where you don't get old and you don't die and there is no suffering. There's no misery. Sounds good, doesn't it?
It sounds amazing. Yeah.
You
Where
know,
can I sign?
something really for your listeners to meditate on. Sometimes I think if I just didn't have a body, then I wouldn't have these pains in the body. If I didn't have a mind, I wouldn't have the pains in the mind. Then I could just exist as a soul, and the soul is blissful. But now the soul comes in the body, and it forgets its soul. It identifies with the body, it identifies with the mind. So then all these crazy thoughts we have, we think
Yeah.
that's who I am. That's my identity. We identify with all our emotions. We identify with our physical pains and so many things. And if you think about it, all our suffering is because of that, because of the pains in the body and the mind and the heart. And if you could extract the soul from the body, then you wouldn't experience that. And I want to tell you something interesting that I've seen firsthand. It's crazy. But I take people in a guided meditation, I kind of take them out of their body. So I get them to just meditate on themselves, identify as consciousness. And then I ask them, now imagine you're going through life. So you try to imagine yourself like 80 years from now. Like, what might you look like? So your body's gone through all these changes. You're the same person, you're just observing. So you observe all these changes. If you're 25, imagine what you look like when you're 40, when you're 60, when you're 80, maybe 90. It's interesting because you can see that you are just observing a changing body. Then we ask people, imagine you're in your last days of life, and now imagine you've left your body and you're above your body as a soul, as light and bliss, and you're looking down at your body. It's a really interesting experience to imagine you as a soul looking at your body, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like you're hovering, you imagine there's the bed and you're above it. And so we bring people to this consciousness in their imagination, and they kind of disidentify with their body during the meditation. And they say, no, no, I'll just exist as a spiritual being, bliss, knowledge, eternity. And then we say, okay, now we have to bring them back in their body. So now, it can't stay like that. Now come back in your body. They come back in their body, open their eyes, and we say, tell us what you experienced. And you know what they all say?
What?
It's so funny. They all say, I didn't want to come back in my body.
Mm.
I was out of my body as a spiritual being. I didn't want to come back into it because coming back into the body means now temporary, identified with the body, the pains of the body and mind and so forth. And these are people who are not necessarily spiritual, but they all say that. It was so nice not to be in the body, just to be a pure spiritual being. So I think that's important for people to understand, because as a pure spiritual being, you are happy. You are free. There's no death. There's no old age. There's no limitation. It's the body puts limitation. So that's the first law of spiritual life. You're not the body. Spirit, you are a spiritual being. And what also I think is really important for people to understand, is so enlightening, is like, whatever you're doing in this life, you already did it in other lives. It's nothing new. I have all the ambitions. You did that all. You have these ambitions because you're already having those ambitions in another life. And, when will you be satisfied? How high do you have to go with your ambitions? So, we have so many desires and needs. It's interesting to think, I've done all this already. The one thing I haven't done is try to become self-realized and get out of the cycle. I've done everything else. So I always tell people, well, do something different. You wanna become a best at this, great at this. You already did that a million times. Once you become self-realized, that's the one thing you never did.
Mm.
So I think that's important to focus on. Like, I'm a human being. I could do self-realization. I never did it before. This is what I should be doing.
Yes. You said a few times that we can have a spiritual body. I mean, for some people today, it's quite a contradiction, spiritual body, God and person. So can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm looking for some answer about who is God, what is the absolute truth. I always ask my guests about this question.
Yeah.
It's the highest, most sublime question of all.
Yeah. Well, some people say God's just energy and we're just energy, but two energy balls really can't have a relationship. So do you really want to eternally just be a ball of light and no relationships? The number one topic searched, I think, or at least in the top three, is relationships. It's like 1 million books on relationships. It's so important. Then we come to spiritual life and we say, well, there's no relationship. It's just energy.
I don't want to go there. It's boring.
It's like, okay, I have a light bulb. The light's coming out of the bulb, but it's coming from the bulb. So God is light. All right, that's fine. Where's the light coming from? My spiritual master would always say, you say God is energy, he's light, he's nature. All right, where's that all come from? So the personal conception of God, the problem people have is, if I say God has form, they'll say, but form is limited, right? So they say that God must not have form because form is limited. But if God is God, why would form limit him? Because he's unlimited. He's not limited to not having form. So to say he can't have form is a limitation on him. He can have a form which is unlimited. So I think it's important for people to realize that we want relationship, and everything we're looking for in relationship in this world is we're really missing that original relationship with him. So we have spiritual form in the spiritual world, and he has spiritual form. And it's beyond any conception we have of like Christian heaven. It's like, you have to read about it. But I would say this much. There is an existence where everything you'd ever wanted in the deepest regions of your heart is fulfilled in that existence. And it's not fulfilled in this existence. It's not the way he made it. He didn't make it to happen here because he wants you to go there. That's where you'll find real love eternally, what you're really looking for. And you can experience it in this life through spiritual practices. You can experience that love and that personal relationship.
That's my next question, because I want to give my viewers always something practical, which in which they can experience this spirituality and connection with God.
Yeah.
So how can we bring this universal Vedic teachings, especially Bhakti Yoga, I think, which is the most sublime and like really, really universal, in one sense, very easy. How can we bring it into our daily life and spiritualize our daily life?
Yeah. Well, as I was saying before, everything in this world belongs to God, including you. So, and every talent you have, all your intelligence, your wealth, whatever it is, where did you get it? You didn't bring it in when you were born. It was given to you. It's a gift. And so in Bhakti, we say that those gifts are meant to be used in service to Him, not in service to yourself. Because that will not make you happy and it will not benefit the world. He created you to serve Him. Now that people say, well, it sounds like a selfish God, but you'll be happy when you do it because it's your natural position to do it. And that's how your love will awaken. So that's one thing. It's like everything you have actually belongs to Him. That's a hard one, especially to acknowledge your body belongs to Him. And if it belongs to Him, then it should be used for Him, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
And everything should be used. Yeah. So, there's some resistance to that. Obviously, people will have. But that's at least something to meditate on. Another thing to meditate on is that consciousness of love, spiritual love. That is the consciousness of the soul. So that's not something foreign to you. It's something you have. It's who you are. And so as you practice spiritual life, that consciousness emerges. So you begin to feel this love, and it feels very natural because it is natural. So, of course, one of the things we do in Bhakti is chanting, because that ignites that love. And so when you chant, it feels very natural because it's awakening or reviving your spiritual consciousness, your love, your connection, your divine connection. And so that's really, really important to have some kind of spiritual practice. Because if you have spiritual life, you need some spiritual practice. You need to do something. I think a lot of people are spiritual without a spiritual process or practice. And you can't evolve steadily. You need some kind of regular practice. Meditation, chanting, studies, journaling, worship, association of other spiritually minded people. So important. One of the biggest things I would recommend is anyone who's on a spiritual path, you need to associate with people on the same path that you want to be on. Because it's really hard to do on your own, almost impossible, especially today in this world, because it's so materialistic. And I'm sure many of your listeners have this experience. You want to be spiritual, but the nature of the world is just pulls you away, isn't it? It's always pulling you away. And so it's like you decided to go left, the world pulled you right. You need to be around other people who are going left. That will help you. So that's essential in spiritual practice, to find spiritual practitioners, to have a regular spiritual practice like what I do. I think most of the people you interview have some spiritual practice, right? That they do
Yes.
every day. So I've been doing it. I'm on my 56th year now. Well, 55 and a half.
Wow.
Chanting the same mantra. This is so amazing. Chanting the same mantra every day for 2 hours. How could you chant the same mantra every day for 2 hours if it's not spiritual? You would go insane. I mean, try chanting anything for 2 hours. It's not spiritual. And if you chant a mantra, like the mantra we chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You chant that every day. Just for 5 minutes, your life's going to change more from that than anything else you could do. It's so powerful.
Wow.
That's a spiritual process. And all the things that we're talking about, just by chanting, you'll realize it all.
Yeah, no,
Because
knowledge comes naturally. Yeah, because it's within us.
Exactly. It's there. You know everything, but you don't know it until you purify yourself, and it will come out. And practically everyone who reads Bhagavad Gita, at least who's attracted to it, when they read it and say, I know all this, except I couldn't explain it until I read it. But I feel it within me. I just couldn't put it into words. That's because it's there in you, and it's just being stimulated, activated.
Yeah,
Yes.
please read Bhagavad Gita. We still have this action, obratit ću se sad na hrvatskom, još uvijek traje akcija Bhagavad Gita za svakoga, naručite je kod nas samo za cijenu dostave, u stvari donacije po vašoj želji i poštarine. Stavit ću link u prihvaćeni komentar.